Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our February monthly meeting of the Avon Board of Education. I'd like to start our meeting at 7:00 p.m. and I'll begin with a roll call for those of you who are joining us for the first time or those who are watching on Nutmeg so that you know who's sitting here at the table. Starting with our board members, I am Deborah Shute, I am the chair. We also have Dr. Thage Singh joining us online tonight. She is our vice chair. I don't know if we can hear you, Thage. Thank you, Thage. And tonight, as we go through, if you just want to raise your hand for voting, that probably is the easiest. I'll keep an eye on you. I can see you. Thank you. Nicole Russo, our secretary.
Present, thank you.
Lynn Katz.
Present, thank you, Deb.
Sarah Heath.
Here, thank you.
Chris Campbell.
Here, thank you.
Jessica Giulietti.
Present, thank you.
And Dr. Kevin McGarry.
Present, thank you.
Suzanne Zaccharis is unable to join us this evening due to the weather. She was held up in another part of the world. As for our administrators, we have Dr. Carnamola, our superintendent.
Thank you.
And Mr. Medic, our assistant superintendent.
Present, thank you.
Ms. Russo, our business manager.
Good evening, thank you.
And we are grateful for Elizabeth Ferry, who's stepping in for Christine Sardinskis this evening, who is also held up in another state due to the weather. So she will be our extraordinaire of IT and all things we need her for. So thank you.
She's also been taking the 4 a.m. calls for me for the weather. So public thank you to Elizabeth.
Well, thank you. You look amazing. So you're handling it very well. All right. If everyone would stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you. I always like to start with our mission statement to remind us of the work that brings us here together. Our mission is to inspire in each student a joy and passion for learning and a commitment to excellence, personal integrity, and social responsibility. We don't have recognition this evening, so I'll keep moving us along. We do have guests with us, and we want to respect their time as well. So if we could please have someone make a motion to approve the Board of Education regular monthly meeting minutes of January 20th, 2026.
So moved.
Thank you, Chris. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lynn. All in favor? Aye, passes unanimously with 8. Communication from the public. I believe we do have at least one. Is it just one? Okay, we'll invite you to come forward. If you don't mind, while you're doing so, I will read the way this section of our meeting works, okay? This is the section of our meeting where Avon residents have the floor to share their thoughts and or concerns with the board. It's not an opportunity for conversation, rather it's the board's chance to listen to feedback from the community. Anyone who's interested can add, you can sit there if you'd like, yep. You can add their name to the list, and then we'll call you forward in order. You must state your name and address for the record. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to speak. In an effort to hear as many of you as we can, we must adhere to this time limit. You can certainly state that you agree or disagree with a previous comment if you'd prefer to be brief. Brevity will allow more attendees to be heard. After 15 minutes are up, the board may choose to extend public comment or not. No speaker will include charges or complaints of a personal nature against any individual Avon Board of Education member or individual employee of the Avon Board of Education, whether the speaker names the individual or not. Please refrain from clapping or cheering. We will, are you our timekeeper? Thank you. All right. Ms. Ferry will be our timekeeper tonight. If you should reach 2.5 minutes, she'll alert you with a 30-second warning. At the 3-minute mark, you'll be alerted again to signal that your time is up. We welcome your engagement and participation. So welcome, if you don't mind saying your name and address for the record.
Lisa Yorio. I live at Paper Chase Trail.
Thank you.
And the reason I'm here is I understood that Craig was going to be here, and I wanted to finally get up the nerves to share a story I probably should have shared a long time ago. This is very uncomfortable for me, but I owe it to my daughter, so I'm just going to read it. At the end of my daughter's freshman year at Avon High School, she experienced something deeply painful. Before this incident, I didn't have any opinion about the open choice program. Over the years, she had encountered a few troubling interactions with students participating in the program, such as negative comments about race, being told she wasn't welcome in a club because of her skin color, being pressured to buy another student's lunch during Black History Month. These moments concerned me, but as a family, we talked about responding with kindness, understanding, and love. My opinion changed when my daughter was racially bullied in the high school bathroom by a senior participating in the program. This student forced my daughter to hold her lunch tray while she ate from it, telling my daughter that white people owed her, and directing other racial insults at her. The entire incident was recorded, captioned, and shared on social media, so my husband and I watched what happened to our daughter. None of the other girls present intervened until much later, and afterwards my daughter called me in a panic, hysterical, unable to breathe or speak clearly. I raced to the school and brought her home. We spoke with administrators, including the superintendent and assistant principal. They were compassionate, supportive, and assured us they would do everything to keep her safe. But when my daughter returned to school, the student who bullied her was still present. My daughter was terrified to return, especially knowing the student had been physically rough in the past. We were told the other student received community service hours and would write an apology letter to our daughter. We never saw that letter, and therefore we don't know what the consequences were put in place. At that point, we made the difficult decision to withdraw her from Avon Public Schools and enroll her in a private school. It was heartbreaking because we chose to live in Avon for the school system, and now we no longer felt safe sending our daughter to the high school. I spent much of my career working to improve lives of people living in extreme poverty across African countries. I care deeply about the well-being of others and the challenges many communities face. That is why it feels difficult to say that while I believe the goals of the program to be altruistic, I personally do not feel positive towards it or supportive of it. I'm a mother first, and my number one priority is to my children. As a community, I'm sure we all want every student, whether they ride the bus from another town or walk down the street, to be treated with fairness, consistency, care. When harm happens, consequences should be clear and equal. Families should feel supported and students should feel safe. My hope is that Avon reflects on this program and the impact it has on all, emphasize all, students. I hope we continue to work towards a community where hate is challenged, racism of any kind is not tolerated, and kindness is something we actively teach and model. Our children deserve a school environment where every student is valued, protected, and encouraged to care for one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Iorio. All right. Is there anyone else for public comment? Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to the student representative report. Syra is here tonight. Madison is unable to join us.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. So I'll start off with Roaring Brook. So something that went on, they had a food item donation where I believe they raised 400 food items for families in need, with $1,000 in direct donations to the CT Food Share through a Valentine's Drive. There was a school assembly at the end of January that kind of just honored, again, like the portrait of the graduate cultural competence. Grades 1 and 2 shared about Lunar New Year and about the Underground Railroad. This month they're honoring Black History Month, and they're preparing for Women's History Month next month. Something that's coming soon to Roaring Brook is the Around the World Fair. And something else that's going on is the school drama club is hosting their Mary Poppins performance, which is nice to see. And next week, they're beginning the Jump Rope for Heart for the month of March. And as for Pine Grove School, the Valentine's Day celebrations, which even I remember from when I went there, where Avon Old Farm students came to perform. The PTO decorated and organized a restaurant during lunch. Something else that continued, and it will continue through early March, is the Bridges Mentoring Program, where elementary students are paired with a high schooler for sessions to improve literacy and just engage in collaborative activities. Pine Grove School had a Spirit Week where students dressed up as favorite characters, twins, wacky days, and just showing school spirit. And this, I believe, goes for all schools, is mid-March. The parent-teacher conferences will be held. As for Thompson Brook, they continue their SEL program, grades 5 focusing on strong emotions and identifying stress in themselves and how to manage it effectively. As for 6th grade, they're working on developing a positive sense of self, who they want to become, and focusing on how their internal beliefs can impact daily lives and their relationships. They also had a school rally honoring Students of the Month with some friendly competition. And it seems like all the schools are kind of joining together to make an impact on the community as they held a Super Bowl for non-perishable food items. Something else that began, which I thought was really cool, was the Penguin Pod, which is now running at TBS, is a student-run podcast, planned, conducted interviews by students about the ongoings of their school. And so I'll share Maddie's as well from Avon Middle School and the high school. For the middle school, the robotics team has been invited to the state tournament after competing. And as for the mathletes, they competed at the University of Hartford with 5 out of 10 participants advancing and moving on to the state level. March 20th, there will be no school due to professional learning. And they're also holding something for the community, a winter clothing drive. And sports registration has now opened at the middle school. And something that has been going on at the high school is tonight we had our internship showcase where the ongoing interns presented. And they're hosting an Engineering Pathways virtual program Monday, March 3rd. I believe that's for engineering. And something else that happened just 2 weekends ago, our girls swim team won their splash swimming championships for the second year in a row. And that's just, those are some updates from the schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Syra. We know you had to take it all on, but you did a great job. We appreciate it. All right, our financial report on page 9.
Good evening, everyone. We ended the month of January with just over $3 million unencumbered, or 4.06% of our budget remaining, compared to last year, which was just under $2.7 million. We remain in a pause in spending or a budget freeze as the outlook from the winter has been harsher, as we all know, and more to come, maybe tomorrow. And maybe this weekend. So we continue to hold strong on that pause in spending, and I thank the administrators for their support during this difficult time. Certified salaries, we had some overages from deficits of 6 class coverage. We had a few folks that had to go out on a short-term leave, and it was more financially responsible to cover that, with teachers stepping up to cover that rather than bringing a long-term sub. So we thank them for that as well. Nurses, I believe in the hiring report, you'll see we onboarded a new nurse, and that training period happened. So we had some overlap with the outgoing nurse. And administrators, you'll see some savings due to the vacancy of the assistant superintendent. So on budget transfer 2026-18, you'll see the cleanup of all those salary line items. In other expenses, I believe we talked about last month, our disability and dental insurance have some variances as we onboarded and offboarded folks throughout the year. And we adjusted the encumbrance to make sure we had those folks encumbered for the rest of the year. So you'll see a little variance there. Maintenance repairs and HVAC repairs, we continue to see some things break. A lot of things break, particularly as the Roaring Brook team has been managing for quite a while now. Some heating issues there, and we've had a part that has to be manufactured from scratch to fix it. So that's been taking a little bit of time, and we thank them for their grace and understanding during that. We've had some issues at Thompson Brook as well. The list goes on and on. I won't read them all to you, but we continue to face some maintenance and building challenges this year. We had some variances in our transportation as we had some changes for routes. As you know, we always try to decrease costs by ride sharing when we can through different placements or different shared rides for specialized transportation. We had some adjustments there. So budget transfer 2026-019 cleans up all those variances you'll see that are not salary related. In special education, we had some revised and new placements that were encumbering in February, but you'll see some variances as we started to move those funds and made a proactive transfer for that. In transportation, we saw some pivots again with those new placements on out-of-district transportation. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank
Always
you.
keep it nice and succinct for us. Does anybody have any questions for Susan at this point? All right. Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to our committee reports, curriculum and professional practices. Lynn?
Yes, we met on January 27th. The minutes are in the packet, and we're going to be discussing tonight the math curriculum and changes that have occurred in that curriculum. Our next meeting we have to reschedule. We're working on that as we speak, and
it will probably be earlier in April or later in May.
Thank you, Lynn. For finance, we just got our update. Thank you to Susan. Our next meeting actually falls on March 10th, which is the same night as the newly scheduled tri-board meeting. So since our meeting is at 6 and that meeting is at 7, stay tuned, but we probably will just stick with the 7 o'clock tri-board meeting rather than having our own as well. But let's all try to be there. I know Kevin is the only one who has told me he cannot. So if the rest of us can be in attendance, I think that would be a good showing for us to participate. So stay tuned for when the next finance meeting will be. Negotiations, Suzanne is not with us. We are beginning negotiations starting in March, but nothing to report at this time. And policy, Thage, do you have anything? Would you like me to announce when the next meeting is? Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, our liaison report, we've got Chris for the CREC Council.
Yes, ma'am. The last meeting was on the 18th. Our next one is on March 18th. There was also a legislative breakfast. I wasn't able to attend it, but I heard great things.
All right. Thank you. And now for the board chair update, I will keep it brief. I just want to acknowledge that I'm pretty proud of us for being one of the almost the exceptions to the rule with the 2-hour delay this morning. It seemed like last night everybody was closing, but we pulled it off. So you got it. There was plenty of parking out there. It was fantastic. Well done. Right?
We don't celebrate because the next time it'll be the wrong call and everybody will be mad. You can't.
No, you get this win. You get this win. We'll take it when you can, right? And the internship showcase is always amazing. Very proud to have our very own Syra out there talking about her Farmington Valley Health District experience. So very proud of you for participating, and everybody just does such a nice job. We're incredibly proud of the work that happens there. Other than just another reminder to make March 10th a priority on your calendar for 7 o'clock at the Senior Center, I will throw it to Dr. Carnamola.
Thank you. And yes, not to make light, what I do want to do is to follow up on what you're saying, Deb, to thank all of our maintenance and custodial crew and Miles Altimus, the Director of Operations, and again, Elizabeth Ferry, who's been, as I said, taking my very early morning phone calls, weekend phone calls, and so forth, because we won't go through all of it now, but there's a lot that happens behind the scenes to make those decisions, and it's typically very early in the morning. And as you see, Christine has been waylaid in Florida. So Elizabeth stepped in to do the website and send out the messages and so on. And I really appreciate it. But also, our maintenance and custodial crew have been amazing. And in both this storm and the last, and I think the last storm was actually worse overall than this one, even though this one was made into a hubbub. And they were sleeping in the schools at the last storm to make sure that they got cleared out and we were able to open when we did. So, they joked with me about eating out of cans and apples and so forth because they ended up here longer. They were half joking with me, but they really just hunkered down and did everything they had to do so that we were able to open after that last storm also. So just want to publicly thank them. And of course, Miles, who's the other one that's up with me at 3 o'clock in the morning, coming out, calling the bus company, driving around, seeing what's going on. It's been a rough winter. I don't think it's going to get any better right now. And I think the next couple of decisions will probably be what they are. A lot of it's about timing. For the enrollment report, we are 3 up from last month. Again, that's just some fluctuations. With students moving in and out. We have kindergarten registration going on still. If you know anyone who has a potential kindergartner at home, now is the time. We're doing some of the screenings and processing all of that paperwork. As you know, Mr. Cabrera, our administrative assistant and registrar in our central office, has taken a job closer to home. So right now we have that job posted, which I'm sure Mr. Medic will talk about. But I just want to pause for a moment and thank Ms. Kathy Patton, who once again came back to us from retirement and is just whipping us all into shape very quickly right at the front door. So we are very glad to have her again. Thank you. Mr. Medic for the hiring report.
Good evening, everyone. The monthly hiring report for February shows the onboarding of 7 new non-certified hires to the district. Elizabeth Strauss and Kim Davis join us as paraeducators at Thompson Brook School. Rebecca Webb joins us as a teaching assistant at Roaring Brook School. Aislinn Jordan, Adriana Delaria, Najet Itoli, and Robin Barron join us as student support assistants at Pine Grove and Roaring Brook, respectively. The student support assistants are a new position. We secured some grant funding this year, and these positions are working with students, both regular ed and special education, to support them academically and behaviorally. It is finite through the end of the year, but we're grateful for the funds and the additional support, and we're very fortunate to our principals, Noam and Amy, and to San Haynes for working so closely to find us some quality candidates to bring on board. In addition, we do have 3 resignations to share: Ms. Flynn, Ms. Sorwick, and Mr. Cabrera. We'd like to thank them for their service to the district in their respective positions. As I do each month, I go over just a synopsis of positions that we have available at present. We are currently working to fill several long-term substitute positions for upcoming medical leaves: special education teacher at Roaring Brook, social studies teacher at Avon Middle School, as well as a paraeducator at Pine Grove School. These are all posted, and we are in various stages of following up with candidates. We're also looking to hire several non-certified positions: nutrition service worker at Pine Grove, as well as several paraeducators throughout the district. We have some seasonal coaching positions here at the high school that we're working to hire for: assistant crew coach for this spring, freshman baseball for this spring, and freshman volleyball for fall 26. In addition, we are working to fill the administrative assistant to the assistant superintendent. But as Dr. Carmelo said, we're very grateful to have Ms. Patton back out of retirement, and she's whipping me into shape more than anyone else. And then we continue to hire substitute custodians and substitute nurses for our substitute pools. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to pause in terms of an update from me tonight because we have our associates from CREC here to talk to the board, and I want to make sure that you have enough time with them and be respectful of your time. I want to thank you for coming out again. As you know, we have had some discussion about the choice program, some questions from board members about the choice program, and we have answered some of those already, but we were thinking about larger scale. Every one of the board members that's sitting here, and myself included, were not here when choice started. So I think it's, and many of the board members are new even from the last time we had someone come and present what the program entailed. So I think it's timely that we had this discussion and 2 of you were able to come back out. Curtis and Sarah, thank you very much.
Hey, please come on forward. We'd love to have you sit and join us. And I just want to also share that Chris had he goes every month to the meetings, and he reached out to me and said that you had shown an interest in wanting to come and talk to boards and asked me if we would be interested. And I said, absolutely. So he worked behind the scenes to help get you here along with Dr. Carnamola, and we're incredibly grateful that you've taken the time to do that. Thank you for fielding some of the questions that were provided to you ahead of time as well. But we are very open to hearing what you have to share, and just grateful. So thank you.
Great, thank you. And you have our great. So I am Sarah Voca. I'm the Deputy Superintendent at CREC. I oversee the magnet schools and the open choice program. I've been at CREC for 14 years now, and I'll introduce my colleague Curtis.
Good evening. Thank you for having us this evening. My name is Curtis Rodriguez Porter, and I'm the Managing Director for School Choice and the Hartford Regional Open Choice Program, and I've been at CREC for about 8 years.
So we put together some informational slides for you just to frame the conversation tonight. But first, what I wanted to do is just explain in general CREC's role with open choice. So it is in legislation that CREC manages the open choice program. And so what that means is that we provide the transportation for students. CREC Resco Transportation provides the transportation for open choice students out to all the districts. We also oversee the lottery that families apply to. and we provide support to districts in managing seat offerings in the lottery. And we also receive a number of grants from the State Department of Education to provide additional support and resources to open choice districts as well as open choice families. So we consider ourselves really a partner with both the State Department of Education as well as open choice districts. The State Department of Education continues to oversee all of the grant disbursements, and anytime there might be change in legislation, that is all at the state level. So we are really that liaison and a partner to both. So I just wanted to set that context for you as we move forward. So we have, thank you. Just a brief agenda of what we plan on covering tonight. Curtis will take you through an overview of the program, provide the history. We are coming up on our 60th anniversary of Open Choice. We'll talk a little bit about participation data that we have for Avon. I don't think that will be new for you. We also have information about grants that are available to open choice districts as well as what Avon has received. I also don't think that will necessarily be new, but it's an opportunity for conversation and questions. And I will talk a little bit about how special education works. And then lastly, we'd like to share with you the different open choice supports that CREC offers to open choice districts as well as families. And I'm hopeful that this can be an open dialogue and just ask questions as they come up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah. And so just starting off, today, I'm not only the managing director for the Hartford Region Open Choice Program, but I'm also a Hartford resident, as well as a new parent to the program via the Hartford Region Open Choice Program. My little man attends Newington Public Schools, so exciting times for me as well with that. And as Sarah mentioned, I do want to just go over the brief history of our program, with the program launching in 1966 as one of the first three around the country from the city, the urban to suburban programs that we have. And so that started off in 1966. And over time, the program has grown from about 5 districts to now 27 districts, which in 1996, we've transferred from Project Concern to the Hartford Region Open Choice Program as it is called today. So just wanted to make reference that it was originally called Project Concern and is now the Hartford Region Open Choice Program. And since then, we've had over countless thousands of students that graduated from the program. And as Sarah mentioned, we are currently in our 60th anniversary of this, chef mandated program supported by the State Department of Education. As you can see, here is our 27 districts in which we partner with. Hartford, the city of Hartford, is split up into 4 zones by zip codes, and students are able to select up to 5 districts that they want to participate in based on their zip code. And from that, the State Department of Ed Regional School Choice Office runs a algorithm behind the scenes through our roll-wise system, and that's how districts are selected for the particular family. The overall mission of the Hartford Region Open Choice Program, as started from 1966, is to be a choice for families who reside in the city of Hartford to have access to a choice that insists of higher quality education, to have access to different opportunities that they may not have access to within the city of Hartford. And through that mission, the vision is to ensure that every student who participates in the Hartford Region Open Choice Program, along with the students in district that they attend school with, have a community building, robust educational setting that is inclusive and supportive in multiple capacities, including social and emotional.
One of the things I just want to mention is the in terms of the Chef the O'Neill settlement, the importance that Open Choice serves in filling the mandates in the stipulated agreement. So it was the goal that there would be 2,800 students enrolled in Open Choice as part of the Chef agreement. And so the program is very important to that particular lawsuit in terms of meeting demand. as far as the state is concerned in terms of their role as being defendants in that lawsuit.
And for Avon Public Schools, as mentioned, came on board as a partner before many of us working here around. So back in 1968, the program started in Avon, receiving 12 students from the city of Hartford, which over time, that number has dramatically grown. Present day here, there's 101 students actively participating in the program that reside in Hartford in the 10th school in Avon Public Schools today.
And some of the other inaugural districts were Simsbury,
West Hartford, Canton, and Summers.
I'm sorry, can you go back? Thank you. So you'll notice that your enrollment has decreased slightly since 22-23. This isn't unique just to Avon. We are seeing this in other towns, particularly towns that are farther out from Hartford. And as well, recently, this past year, I don't know if you've seen in the paper, but there is a significant push in Hartford Public Schools to bring Hartford students back and to keep Hartford students in the city. So this is not unique to Avon. We do see this trend in other communities. And in fact, in this latest lottery, which just closed, the overall open choice applications are lower than they were last year.
I would like to add that also with Avon being in Zone 1 and 2 historically trend in lower applicants, again, as a result of the distance. And so that leads to folks who have little ones, but particularly in the pre-K, K first level, really considering whether or not they want to put their little ones on a bus at such a long distance, which is one of the factors in which we do encourage districts to take a look at seats where there's potential applicants in higher grades to kind of off balance that in which is happening at those grade levels. Also, in regards to zones 1 and 2, in regards to enrollment, we do see trends, with different administrations and things like that. There is that sense of the unknown. And so there are hesitancies, right, where folks also are considering where it is that they want to send their students, their little ones, I should say. And so we saw that during the former administration, and that's currently happening in this current administration as well, just that sense of the unknown. And so that is one of the things I've already been meeting with various districts just to talk about marketing efforts and what that looks like in regards to building community in Hartford and really sharing the things that districts offer at a variety of events and through marketing and just really sharing that story on your particular district.
So on this slide, we see a variety of grants. There are many grants that aren't listed just in this table, but these are the primary grants and the allocations that have been awarded to Avon over the last several years. So the per pupil attendance grant is what every district receives for each open choice student. And this is determined by the percentage of students who are percentage of total enrolled students who are open choice. The larger your percentage, the larger your per pupil will be. Right now, Avon is at $8,000 per open choice student. If you go up to 4%, and correct me if I say anything, thank you. If you go up to 4% and higher, that increases to $10,000. The next line is the Open Choice Early Beginnings Grant, and you've received $6,500 for each pre-K student. You'll see a little bit later that we also have supports at CREC that are also funded by the Early Beginnings Grant. And we use the grant to provide early literacy instructional support in classrooms, really designed to benefit all students in the pre-K, K, and 1 classrooms. And we'll talk a little bit about that in the next few slides. There's also an academic and social support grant, which is really designed to promote the academic success of open choice students, but really designed to benefit all students in a school community. So it's not designed to just target out open choice students. It's designed to put into place programming and services that all students can benefit from. And then the last two are smaller grants that that districts can receive. The next several slides, so we talked about the attendance grant, early beginnings. There is, the last one on this table is what's called an open choice entry grade incentive. And this is for districts that enroll at least 5 students in the same school in the entry grades. And so why that's important and why the state has put this grant into place is that when we think about bringing a Hartford student, think about a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old on a bus from Hartford out to a suburban community. And if they're the only one in that school, then they may be on that bus by themselves, or want, very small number of students. So they've put together this incentive grant for districts to offer and enroll at least 5 students in an entry grade so that they're not alone in that school community. The Open Choice Enrollment Bonus grant is for those districts that increase by at least 20% over their actual enrollment from the prior year. So this is another incentive for districts to significantly increase the number of open choice students that they enroll in any one school year. Open choice transportation is handled. You do not have to pay for open choice transportation. However, an open choice district can choose to provide their own transportation for open choice districts, and we do have a handful who do that. Can you speak a little bit to how that works?
Absolutely. So we currently have 2 districts that take on their own transportation. That's Plainville and Wethersfield. And those districts, through their own company that they work with, they bill the State Department of Ed, and the State Department of Ed then reimburses them for the transportation bill. So there's no out-of-pocket cost to the district. Also, during the summer, there's available transportation grant funding. Should there be summer school or after school or summer programming that's happening over the summer, there's also a grant opportunity available where districts can apply for wraparound transportation funding for summer experiences as well. So again, there's the opportunity for students to attend and be district to be reimbursed during the school year as well as during the summertime. Also, what is a benefit to districts handling their own transportation that then supports any after-school programming, clubs, sports, any kind of activities like that's available during the district. The transportation grant will also be reimbursed for those funds that are incurred during those activities as well.
And we've seen some towns opt to provide their own transportation because they have a little more control over when the buses are picking up and bringing to school on time. Resco transportation is a huge endeavor and is transporting for open choice, all of the chef magnet schools, some of the technical high schools. So there are times where those buses are running late, and there are certain districts that saw a repeated pattern, and so they opted to just handle their own transportation. Thank you. And then there are a couple more grants, the wraparound grant and aid grant. Do you want to talk a little bit about that too?
Absolutely. So the wraparound grant is new, and this is the second year of its existence. Last year, the $2 million from the State Department of Education was awarded to one community-based organization in Hartford to go out and support a variety of districts with programming for open choice students. This year, they decided to expand that opportunity to the region and to the state. And so with that, Avon is a recipient of that wraparound grant this year. So you are part of the opportunity to expand programming through this grant for your fiscal year 27 as a result of that grant opportunity.
And then that last one is just a note that the State Education Resource Center did receive a pot of money from the State Department of Education to provide targeted professional development to open choice districts. And then I think the last is bonus set-aside grants. This is within available appropriations. Some years it exists and other years it doesn't because of the appropriation. But I'd like to move on to, I think my next is about special education. So this is a question that comes up in many.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, absolutely, please.
As you go back to the grants, you had mentioned the wraparound grant that Avon is participating in.
Yes.
What's the dollar amount? I didn't see it on the front list.
It's around $123,000.
Okay. And is that specific to anything that needs to be funded for that, or is that just broadly for the overall budget?
That grant is earmarked for what was described in the grant. It is a program, I don't have all the language with me, but it is a program to help support the experience in regards to academics and experiences for students.
That's the one that I mentioned last board meeting. Mr. Haynes taking students to the historically black colleges and some other pieces, technology that's in it.
Okay, so
That's that grant.
that was that grant.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thanks.
And the student support specialist.
Yes.
Yeah, the student support specialists that Mr. Medic mentioned earlier that we're embedding in Pine Grove and Roaring Brook are also, that's the main support of this grant is for the funding of those salaries.
Okay.
That's in addition to the interventions. These are 2 new positions funded by the grant.
Thanks.
So special education. So when an open choice student enrolls in an open choice district, they essentially become a student of that town. And so the district owns the IEP, the district writes what's in the IEP, holds the PPTs, works with the parents, and is responsible for implementing the IEP. This past year, the legislature put in a requirement that open choice districts must require a Hartford representative must invite a Hartford representative to the PPT. I don't know how often that is actually happening. What we hear from the field is not often, but it is a requirement that they're at least invited. The Open Choice District can invoice Hartford Public Schools for all special education services articulated in the IEP that are above and beyond the attendance grant that they receive. So Hartford is billed for the bulk of the special education services that are provided in district. So I want to pause and see if there are any questions about special education.
You mentioned the bulk of, is it actually, whatever the dollar amount is it 100% reimbursed or is it just the bulk of it? Like what percentage is actually covered?
So you will recoup 100% of what you bill Hartford.
Okay.
We bill them the net of the gross cost of the special education service delivered less the per pupil attendance grant. So in our case, it's $8,000 per student. So the first $8,000 is considered the cost of educating that student. Anything above and beyond that, we bill Hartford and we are reimbursed.
Okay, thanks.
We're still on special ed, right?
Yes.
We were told that 40% of our choice students have been identified for special education services. That seems higher than perhaps what the percentage is in a Hartford school, a typical Hartford school. So I'm wondering if there's a feeling that we're over-identifying. What do you attribute this?
It's hard for me to say without knowing the individual students and seeing what the cases are that are coming into district. Some may have already come in with an IEP, so they came previously identified. What we do see, and I'm not speaking just about Avon, I'm speaking, open choice in general. What we do see is younger students, pre-K, K, grade 1, starting to receive support early which is good. That's good for the student, because I will also say, to put on my magnet school hat, we receive many students into the magnet schools, say 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, never been identified, and they should have been. And, I'm not casting aspersions on any one district, but I think that early identification is key in terms of ensuring students meet success and graduate on time and can do what they want to do post-secondary. But as for the 40% rate in Avon, I can't speak specifically to that prevalence rate here.
Is it typical of the other 26 districts? I'm just curious.
I would have to look at all of the percentages across district to even be able to answer that question.
And just to add to that, what's the percentage in Hartford schools? Do you know?
Not
said
off
you
the
didn't
top
know.
of my
Okay.
head. I do know statewide it's about 20%, 22%
Okay.
overall, just to give you a frame of reference. So, go ahead. You go. Yeah.
Give you a little break. So here we have a variety of supports that are supported from our team. We have a team of 17 individuals in Hartford. We have a series of instructional coaches. We have 6 that support various districts, not all districts. They're small but mighty, but not all districts. And so every year I send out a information request to our superintendent asking who would like to have a instructional coach support their district. Again, these coaches are certified master teachers, and so they are certified staff that are able to support in the classroom, push in small group instruction, play-based learning, things like that. And so those individuals are support in addition to what's happening in the classroom at no cost incurred to the district as a result of being a partner of ours. We also have resource specialists, one for elementary, middle, high school, as well as a college and career advisor. These individuals are out in the field every day supporting students, teachers, families, schools in a variety of ways to ensure that students are accessing their learning and to ensure that they're feeling supported. And if there's any kind of cultural challenges that may be faced in the school, they also are able to support with that. Many of them have worked in Hartford Public Schools and or are from the city of Hartford. And so they're a diverse team that do really great work. We also support with... Question?
Yeah, just a question. From the resources that sound like they're funded by the actual program itself versus the district.
Correct.
Assuming that, given the fact that our special ed needs are 100% higher than the state average, what resources do we have access to that we're not using? And then how do we use those resources more effectively to cover, the additional costs that we incur?
Absolutely. So in regards to staffing wise, our instructional coaches currently aren't in district. And so that could be one way in regards to folks from my team that could come out and support in some form of capacity, again, with small group instruction and things like that. However, outside of that, there are additional grant opportunities that Sarah has mentioned, for example, the bonus grant, which increasing, your enrollment of open choice students by 20% is an opportunity as well.
We can also help facilitate, I know with, depending on the needs of certain students with disabilities, they may require the services of a paraeducator, a one-on-one, which can be difficult to find. I don't know if it's been a challenge in Avon, but in other communities it has been a challenge. And so we can help facilitate that with another office at CREC called the CREC Resource Group, who can actually go out and find paras, do all of the initial screening for a district, and then send you some recommendations in terms of providing the staffing that students may need. I don't know did we answer your question?
Well, what you had talked about, it sounded like there was resources that are funded by this program that are not funded by the district, but it sounds like it's just your staff that we have access to ask questions or what have you versus actually in-district help in the schools.
Correct. In regards to a full-time staff member, no, we do not have that capacity in our office. However, the opportunities through the grant can fund, again, additional staffing for those. Any other questions? Was there something? Okay. Yep. So also we, in addition to our resource specialists, we also have our Welcome Center team that supports with registration. The Open Choice program has a two-part registration, one on behalf of the district and one on behalf of our office, so that we can ensure all students have access to transportation. And that team supports in a variety of ways for the enrollment of all of our students. And then also, as Sarah mentioned, we have the CREC resource group. And so if there's any need outside of the scope in which the district can support in or our office and or any community-based organization in the city, we do recommend the CREC resource group because they're able to provide, again, opportunities for hiring paras, professional learning for community building, as well as district-based professional development, BCBA support as well through the CREC resource group. Any questions in regards to the supports? Great.
Go ahead, Nicole.
I just have a question that came up to me. You are like a liaison between the district and the state. Is there a metrics for analyzing or collecting data about disciplinary issues? Are those conversations that are being had with the district, with the state, how the assimilation into the district works and whatnot? And what does that look like?
Good question. Yes, the State Department of Ed launched last year a open choice working group that is comprised of some superintendents or district representation. Tayson has actually attended some of those meetings on Avon's behalf. We also, as part of that, we look at data, we look at special education, we look at student experience, and we also look at funding. And so those are the main subgroups that are major components in which we discussed during the working group. And so, yes, these things have come up. We are in the process of possibly having a potential tool to kind of support with that, to see what districts may require additional support in various areas as well. But yes, those conversations are being had to kind of just look at the landscape of the program, assess how far we've come, but then also where is it that we need to go to ensure that all students are successful.
I'm one of the superintendents on that group. Hassan came in
Yes.
because of the grant and so on. He's somewhere back there. And as Curtis said, the primary focus is looking at larger scale data and looking for ways to reduce exclusionary discipline, for example, is one of the goals, I think, of the committee that was put together. I'm not sure what supports I don't think any of us know that yet, what might come out of it. Really, the meetings that we've been a part of, and as Curtis said, there's a couple that Tassan has gone to that I haven't been able to do. It's all of us looking at data, both our own and statewide, around attendance, grades, exclusionary discipline incident numbers. Everyone knows what that means, right? Exclusionary discipline is anytime students are taken out of class, in-school suspension or out-of-school suspension. And a number of districts in the state are flagged, if you will, for the number of exclusionary practices, and it's disaggregated by not individual grade level, but groups of grades, like elementary, 7 to 12, and race, ELL status, special education status. And so that's data that we have to look at all the time. And we've been doing that again right now, actually looking more specifically at the special education data as a group here. But this working group is a pretty big group that has been divided up into looking at the data. And it's kind of TBD right now, I would say.
Absolutely.
Just real quick on that data that you all have been looking at, is anything kind of bubbled up or emerged as far as trends go?
As a whole, with discipline, you mean, for Avon? One of the things that we are working on is actually related to special education, because we have a disproportionate number of special education students who have received disciplinary consequences. And depending on the year and the level, we've also been flagged for a disproportionate number of, I think it's Black male students being identified as special education. And from the disciplinary standpoint, we have also been flagged in several years for disproportionality related to race also. It's not broken out by choice students, so when we do that state reportable data and it's put back on you can see it on the website, it's usually a few years behind at least. It kind of depends on the year, how quickly they've gotten it up there. They just disaggregate by the school district, and as I said, the race and some other factors like whether or not they're ELL students and or special education students. But
Can I ask a question? Have you disaggregated by students who have begun with us in kindergarten or pre-K versus older kids who have started?
we haven't disaggregated any of the choice data because
I wonder, though, if you're aware of trends that kids who start early, it would make sense if we get them when they're young.
Not necessarily. I mean,
No?
it does help, but we also have cases of students who may start in the open choice program in 9th grade and have tremendous success.
True. Okay.
So it's so student specific.
Just in regards to discipline, if you're breaking out all that data, is there a propensity to not hold certain students accountable for actions that they have during the school year because of special education or race that may increase those numbers? And so I guess the question is, how do we make sure that we are holding all students equally accountable, regardless of, whether it's race or special education?
so in terms of, I'll separate that out between special education because that's kind of a different animal, so to speak, when we talk about disciplinary consequences. When we're talking about race, however, we had better make sure that we are carrying it across in an equal manner, no matter what race a student is, because that's exactly what is being reported to the state. And as I said, we're being flagged on for disproportionality that from a percentage standpoint, it's a higher percentage of our African American students that have been given exclusionary discipline. It's tough when you're looking at the numbers, because when you're looking at the numbers, they're also a much smaller overall number of our entire population. So to put that in perspective, if you have 130 African American students and there are 26 that have had some sort of exclusionary discipline, you're at a 20% level right then, versus the other thousands of students. So what we have to do when we receive those reports is go back through them student by student. And one of the things that we have to look at is whether or not students were given similar consequences for similar behaviors, regardless of their background. And in terms of special education, it's a little bit different, because to enact exclusionary discipline, depending on what the exceptionality of the student is, that changes things. So if you are a student, for example, who's on the autism spectrum and you have an IEP that has exceptionalities noted that would mean you might act in a way that would be different than the other students in your classroom, that's already what the disability is for. We are going to work not to exclude you for that. And we have to work not to exclude you for that. On the other hand, there are times if things are considered dangerous, for example, that we, no matter what the situation is, will exclude a student at least for some amount of time. Sometimes it's even just for an evaluation or diagnostic testing or something.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, what is the procedure or the consequences if you're flagged? For example, so you're saying that we're flagged and you go through the data and you look at each individual case. Do you then have the opportunity to go back to the state or of the organization to explain that? Because I think an argument or a concern could be that then we may not for the future be giving certain disciplinary actions that should happen because we're afraid of being flagged again. Is there a conversation that where the faculty, the staff can explain why those measures were taken?
So what we have to do when we are flagged for disproportionality is a plan for how we are working through professional development, looking at our consequences, looking at classroom settings, looking at the tiered interventions that we're putting into place, pretty much everything that we do as a school district and how it might impact student behavior. And then we submit a report and we have to measure our progress, come back again and continue doing some pieces, maybe discontinue doing others. I think the question to drill down to it that you're asking me though is, and I think you're asking the same question, does this mean that we would not enact the same sort of consequence for a student of color that we would a white student, for example, because we're worried about getting flagged? And the answer is no.
And just as a follow-up question to that, when you say flagged, we're talking about accountability of students. What's the accountability of the school district from being flagged? Is it just, hey, they're flagged, or is there some sort of accountability or punishment, if you will, that's being enacted on the district itself because of that?
Well, not necessarily a punishment. I mean, it isn't easy to put together these groups and drill down even further into the data and write the reports that have to be written and continually monitor it as we're doing right now. And so that's it. Yes, it's an added layer of work. The other issue that you can run into as a school district, and I have had to deal with this since I've been here, is when there is an issue with, say, a particular student and there's a disagreement about what the consequence was. So, for example, let's just say there's a student of color and whatever the offense was warranted some sort of exclusionary discipline. On the other end of that, if there is a parent and or an advocate and or an attorney that does not agree with what was done, one of the things that's going to be referenced is the fact that you already have disproportionality in the disciplinary consequences. So it's not that it's a punishment, so to speak, but now it's noted. So you have someone who is, at any point, someone who is pushing back or disagreeing and advocating for the administration, school district, the board, wherever the exclusionary disciplinary consequence lied, to do something different. The data will show that you have a history, if you will, of enacting different consequences. That's why you have disproportionality. Or enacting consequences in a disproportionate manner, not different consequences. Does that make sense? Okay.
Real quick, I just wanted, Kevin, for you to clarify, because I was confused of your question after it was stated that not just the open choice students, but specifically the Black male students they are disciplined way more. So your question was to make sure that they are equally disciplined, or I wasn't sure what your question was.
My question was for the same offense within the school, let's say fighting in the school, regardless of the color of the student's skin color, that if they started a fight, they're all going to have the same discipline. And not necessarily if it's a African-American student, a white student, doesn't make a difference, but whatever the offense is, that we are, as a school district, applying the same discipline for the same action. Does that make sense?
I will say sometimes to the people on the receiving end of that, or the parents of the students that are involved in a situation, no, it may not always look that way. And sometimes that's for some of the reasons I already said. The student might have a 504 plan that speaks more specifically to the behaviors and what we then will or will not do as a result, or an IEP, 504 or an IEP. And so sometimes it's a case-by-case situation. And so very often, unfortunately, when you can't explain that to a parent who's on the other end, it does look different. You can't explain that to a parent on the other end because of privacy, of the other students.
Are there any other questions that we could answer for you regarding the open choice program while we're here?
I just had one additional question is, you stated your vision and your mission, and the goal was to have 2,800 students enrolled. I'm just curious, how are you measuring against that goal as a state, and how has that historically been? Does that seem, correct me if I'm wrong, is there another goal? But it seems like that was the goal stated for the program.
Currently, we have around 2,300 students enrolled in the Hartford Regional Open Choice Program. And so from us, that's just continuing with ensuring that the Hartford residents are aware of the program. We have a very strong legacy alumni base of generations of families who participated in the program and want particular districts. And so it's just with us in collaboration with the districts to continue to ensure that we get that messaging out, that folks know that it's an option for Hartford resident families. And so, that's the goal, and we'll continue every year to try to meet and exceed that goal. And of course, various factors, retention, attrition, things like that, all roll into that. But we are tasked through the SDE to ensure that we're putting our best foot forward to market the program through marketing dollars that the State Department of Ed gives us via a grant to ensure that we're doing that not only for the Open Choice program, but for magnet schools as well.
Thank you.
I'm kind of switching gears though. Okay. I understand we're talking a lot about disciplinary action and things like that, but I'm curious, maybe you don't have the stats off the top of your head, but how much of an increase in graduation rates for students that are coming to choice schools, or kind of the positive side of being enrolled in this? I'm just curious if you had anything to share.
Yeah, I think that's part of the working group's charge is to look at all of those metrics. It's hard for us and for the general public and even districts to be able to disaggregate because of the way the State Department of Education manages and presents their data. But I do think this is part of the working group's
Absolutely,
goals.
part of the working group to be able to tell that story, because that's the story, right? And so we need to be able to tell that. And so that's something that we are actively working on, because the SACID, the student ID, belongs to the district. It's just so difficult to be able to just pull out the
quantify.
for that.
Is that sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that's what I was saying by, it's hard for us to disaggregate it in that way, because you're an Avon student, you're an Avon student, no matter where you came from. You have a SACID ID that belongs to us.
Yeah, I just know that Hartford Public Schools attendance rates are not ideal right now, so just even comparing the two. But when you're talking about getting that data, is there a goal for kind of a yearly report out, or what is the goal as far as being able to report out of that working group?
Right now, we're such in the infancy stage of
Okay.
it. We're only in year 2. Only came together a dozen, not even a dozen times, a handful of times. And so we're still trying to organize exactly what those specific goals are.
Okay.
It's a mountain of data that has been amassed, and the more data is fantastic, but figuring out what to do with it once you have it and sort through it is another situation. I think that's kind of still where we are.
Absolutely. And then for some districts, the data is suppressed because there's so few students, and so therefore it provides gaps. So then it's not a full story for the program overall. So we're also
And that is,
navigating
that
as
is an
well.
issue with us. We do have grade levels where there's one child, for example, in one of the schools. K to 7, most grades have no more than 6 students. And so, again, the data's getting suppressed, which is the other reason, even if we worked to pull it out, I wouldn't report back out because it would violate the privacy of the students. It's too few.
Lynn?
We've been asking a lot of probing questions, but I want you to walk away knowing that you have a great deal of support for the open choice program on this board. And even though I'm always asking about data, I feel as though there are benefits that won't show up in any number to increase. We're increasing diversity in our suburban community. There are so many benefits to that. I'm just wondering if you can speak to non-data celebrations. I don't know.
Absolutely. Good stories.
Absolutely, yes. We have students that go on to do amazing things. I know that we have examples like former state treasurer Sean Wooden, who's an alumni of the Open Choice program. We have various folks around the region who have gone to do great things. And locally, we just recently had a student who received the prestigious 4-year scholarship. I forgot the name of the scholarship, but
The Questbridge Scholarship,
yes, the
I believe.
Questbridge Scholarship. And so, she has the young lady. She has her academia paid for in its entirety, right? And so, those are great things. And then we also have, again, like I said, generations of folks. Me being a Hartford resident, I consistently connect with a variety of folks who talk about the legacies of their families being in the program, and they rave about the experiences that they've had, and that had it not been for the opportunity to participate in the program, they just don't know. And I've often asked as well, again, as a Hartford resident, sometimes do you feel like it would have been better if you stayed in Hartford? And from alum that I've spoken to, they were like, for their experience in particular, they said no, that no matter what, that experience, while not always easy, it still benefited the trajectory of their life. And so for that, those are stories that we continue to lean into and to amplify for the reason why the program has, again, existed for 60 years now.
And it appears as though Avon has been participating for 60 years.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's something to be proud of as well.
Absolutely.
This is nothing new to us. These are our kids, and we are proud of them, and we celebrate with them. We appreciate the time that you've taken to come, and it's always good to refresh everyone. I've been on the board for 10 years now, but it's always nice to hear it again. So thank you for coming out this evening. I'm sure if we had any other questions, we can certainly email you and hear back from you, but
Absolutely.
I think
Yes.
we're good.
Absolutely. And we appreciate the partnership as
Thank
well.
you, Sarah. Thank you,
so much.
Curtis. We appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good evening. Thank you, Chris, for helping us organize that. It's always important to stay. Oh, all right. Good to know. All right, moving on. We have a difficult conversation that we had to have last year based on the budget situation, discussion and possible action regarding notification to certified staff of non-renewal of contracts due to budgetary reasons in accordance with Section 10151 of the Connecticut General Statutes. It's an annual notification recommended in advance of budget processes to be rescinded as necessary after the budget is determined by the town. So this is just playing it safe in case our budget is not approved for what we are looking for. And I'll allow Bridget to speak to that a little bit more.
So as Deb said, by state statute, if a teacher is going to, faculty member, anyone certified, could be an administrator also, going to be non-renewed as a result, or RIFT as we would call it, as a result of budgetary constraints, they have to be notified. And so, unfortunately, they have to be notified well before when the budget process actually moves on. And so last year we did that. I went out to, Mr. Maddock joined me at most places, if not all, I think, went out to the schools, met with the principals and the non-tenured teachers, and just had the conversation so they understood that this is procedural, not substantive, and we assume and hope it would stay that way. And I honestly can't imagine that it wouldn't, because we go through the class sizes, and as you know, we've been letting some positions move along based on attrition at a particular grade level, moving people around and so forth. So we don't have any room to spare for someone to be reduced. So I can't imagine that anybody would be based on the budget, because I don't know how we would fit the students in the classes the way the class sizes are right now. But nonetheless, as a procedural matter, we notify all of them. And I go and sit with them, and it takes the time that it takes and so forth. But it's nerve-wracking for people, especially the few of them that this year, for example, will be the first time. If they've done it with us already, they're like, yep, give me the letter. Okay. I'll see you when you rescind it. But you just took a job here, you're fresh out of school, and you're worrying because the letter says that you're not renewed. How many are there this year, Roberto? I don't have the list with me. We just.
I believe 42 or 43.
This date snuck up on us, so we just pulled this list together. I talked to the union president. He talked to the non-tenured teachers to lay some foundation, and then when Christine gets back from Florida, I'll start scheduling the meetings to go out to the schools.
I just want
For that purpose specifically. I mean, I'm already here, but.
And I want to say how much we appreciate the way that you handle it. You did do the groundwork before bringing it to the board so that this isn't a surprise to anyone. It's not a position that we like to be in, but it's one of those obligations that we carry. Does anybody have any questions?
Do we think that this is going to just be common practice every year, or?
It is recommended procedurally to be done every year, yes.
Anyone else? Paige, you good? Okay. All right. So I will make the motion to allow Dr. Carnamola to notify anyone who needs to be. I read all of that. I don't know. I can pretty it up in the. Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, I'll take Kevin. All in favor? Aye passes unanimously with 8. Thank you.
Deb, can we pause for a moment? I think we skipped over the consent calendar in our haste too.
Yes, we did. We absolutely did. Can we, do I have a motion to accept the transfers as presented in the consent calendar? Thank you, Lynn. Do I have a second? Thank you, Chris. All in favor? Aye passes unanimously with 8. Thank you, Susan. I'm sure you noticed that. Did you see it? Did you see it?
What?
I missed it.
That I didn't raise my hand?
No, it's all good. Did you raise your hand? You participated, right? Yeah, okay. We're good.
We're all out of whack
We'll
with you in
count
that
you.
seat.
Yes.
Can I just tell you, earlier in the meeting, I looked over and I saw the purse in the seat, and I saw you come in. So I said, Deb, where's Nicole?
I went.
She went like this. It's like, okay, this is what happens when you sleep 3 hours a night.
It was on the agenda.
It's just odd. I've been
Yes.
looking at you in that seat for years.
We're all getting our feet. I think we're up to date now, right? We're in line. All right. Thank you, everyone. So now we have discussion and possible approval of Stage 1 curriculum for K-5 math and 7th and 8th grade math. The beauty of this topic is that I am grateful that the entire board attended the Curriculum and Professional Practices Subcommittee meeting in order to hear this in greater depth, but I will throw it to Mr. Medic.
Good evening, everyone. First off, I took some professional learning time myself to learn how to beautify my Google Slides. I'd like to thank Ms. Ferry for teaching me, and also for the first time in my career here, the superintendent showing me something to do with technology. So we have some beautified slides. These are exactly the same as the CPP meeting on January 27th, however, just prettier and more mathematical. I won't take a considerable amount of time this evening as all the board members were present at CPP, but for those in the audience or those who may be watching at home, we'll just go through a few slides briefly before we talk about the curricular updates. go ahead and advance. So as members of the board know, and as our district staff know, our curriculum is written in 3 stages. Stage 1 is home to our content standards. It's the driver of the curriculum, establishes the standards, goals, and understandings for student learning. Stage 2 focuses on assessment, what we assess, how we assess, when we assess, and that is where we ensure that we measure student understanding. And stage 3 is the section of our curriculum, or part of our curriculum, where staff, certified staff, exercise their professional judgment in their daily lesson planning and instructional decisions based on student needs. Go ahead to the next slide. As I mentioned at CPP, the board has an active role in curricular approval and its development. You are responsible by policy to approve our stage 1 curriculum, which we'll be presenting this evening, in addition that you had in your board packet as well. Your role helps affirm for our community that we are meeting the standards and goals that we set forth for our students. We have a multi-layered process. You could go up to, yeah, there we go. We have a multi-layered process that involves all stakeholders within our school district, from our professional staff through the Board of Education in our revision process. So tonight we are taking the work of our professional staff and bringing it full circle for your approval. And these are our next slide are the primary goals of all of our curriculums, that they align with the standards, that they are clear and accountable, that we have true vertical alignment K through 12, and that they are rigorous and relevant to meet the needs of our students. All right, and now for the curriculum. Well, first, just to highlight the K through 5 program on the next slide. In June 2024, the board approved 2 new instructional resources for K through 5 math instruction, Developing Roots for Kindergarten and Think Mathematics for grades 1 through 5. Our staff worked to develop units that follow the scope and sequence of these resources, making minor changes to better align with grade level standards, as well as allocating appropriate timelines for teaching concepts in each grade. In addition, the content from Developing Roots and Think Mathematics was reshaped into our curriculum format to ensure consistency with all Avon courses. Through curriculum development, these programs and units bring greater consistency and coherence in what is being taught, as well as how students engage in mathematics. Math instruction and learning activities look different than they have in the past, as some of our board members know from their walkthrough last year, and also from some of the photographs that we shared of what math instruction looks like at CPP. The units and lessons place a greater emphasis on mathematical process, problem solving, and reasoning. And in addition, lesson format and delivery has become more consistent, which allows students to develop that familiarity with content, as well as the routines that are aligned with the daily lesson plans. Obviously, from your board packet, you have the links to all of the stage 1 curriculums for all the units in grades K through 5. I'm happy to take any questions that you have. Joey Krasansky is also here to answer any questions that you might have regarding K through 5.
Any questions? All right.
I know we did cover this in depth at CPP, but again, for the folks at home who may be very interested in our math curriculum, we want to be able to share this with them. So going on to our next slide regarding 7th and 8th math, we made some changes to 7th and 8th grade math to create relevant pathways for students that allow us to teach standards-based mathematics at 7th and 8th grade while also having an advanced pathway in pre-algebra and algebra 1. As Ms. Lawler, our department coordinator, shares CPP, participation in either of these pathways at the middle school still allows students to get further into the course sequence here at the high school. It's not restrictive by any means. We now have these clearly defined grade level courses that align with the Common Core State Standards for Mathematics, and the goal of both pathways is that the students have the strongest foundation in order to access those advanced courses here at the high school. In developing these courses, we used illustrative mathematics as a guiding resource. Illustrative mathematics as a guiding resource. It's a highly respected standards-aligned curriculum framework that emphasizes conceptual understanding, problem-based learning, and mathematical discourse. It helped ensure coherence, rigor, and alignment to standards across all units. We also incorporate our current textbook, Big Ideas, as a resource. Rather than replacing materials entirely, we strategically blended the existing textbook with the newly designed curriculum structures to have that continuity while improving the instructional alignment and flow. And then again, as we redesigned the pre-algebra and algebra 1 for 7th and 8th grade respectively, this ensures that students who are ready to accelerate continue to have access to the rigorous options for math. For pre-algebra specifically, we reordered several units to create a stronger blend between 7th and 8th grade standards. This helps students transition more smoothly into Algebra 1 by strengthening proportional reasoning, expression, equations, and foundational algebraic thinking. Finally, the Algebra 1 curriculum was written using the Common Core 9 through 12 math standards. This ensures vertical alignment and consistency with the Algebra 1 courses taught here at the high school. Students completing Algebra 1 in 8th grade will be fully prepared for geometry at the high school, and that experience with Algebra 1 in 8th grade will help prepare for the advanced classes beyond geometry here. So overall, we've created these pathways that allow students to take math at the appropriate pacing, while also ensuring that they're able to access the majority of courses here at the high school. From your packet, do you guys have any questions regarding 7th and 8th grade math? Dr. McGarry?
Thanks. And I know we talked about this in the policy or the committee meeting, but as we look at this and as you kind of begin to add a new curriculum, what are you looking at for where the standards are today, and then how do you measure 3 years from now, 4 years from now, the improvement of education for the students?
Yeah, I think that's obviously fundamental to just our work in general education. I think for us, it's really ensuring that the adaptive parts of our curriculum, stage 2 and stage 3, are kind of living, breathing documents that allow us to kind of see how students are progressing, how we can take things from unit to unit or semester to semester and even year to year and make the appropriate instructional adjustments to help support their learning. So we have data that we have both localized here. We don't have to necessarily wait for our standards-based assessments. We can make these changes kind of as we go, and that's part of the goal for our professional staff in their collaborative learning time, to reflect on their practice, what students struggled with, what students did well with, how do we adapt that for either the upcoming course or the next sequence of that. So we're constantly looking to make changes in the stage 2 and stage 3 that really allow us to meet the needs of the students.
We talked about it at the meeting. You might want to just touch on why it looks like we're skipping 6th grade, but we're not really for now.
We aren't skipping 6th grade. 6th grade was the best 2 years of my life. No, only kidding. Had to get that joke in there at some point. In 6th grade, we're currently piloting the Think Mathematics, and we've done some work with our staff there. We've done some observations of how that work is going, and we'll be working to kind of bring what our 6th grade plan is to you in the near future. So we are kind of looking to see that as the bridge year. And we do have some very good experience that we're seeing within the classrooms that are using the program now. So, yes.
So it looks like starting in middle school, there's the two pathways, one grade level and then the next, the advanced pathway. If when a student gets to high school, they either are showing tremendous growth or need to take a step back, is there flexibility for those students?
Absolutely, there's flexibility. We do have students that take a variety of different pathways once they get here at the high school. Some students are elected to double up certain years. Some students progress in a sequential format year to year. Obviously, they go into different level courses, and we do have the procedures where they could drop down an academic level within the same course and keep that sequence progressing. So the options do remain here for students to kind of continue at that, but with different pacing at the different levels.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you for that synopsis. We appreciate it, and beautiful slides. We look forward to what you bring to us next time. Excellent.
No, it was actually Dr. Lockhart who, yes, she brought us the slides. I showed you how to use Gemini.
I appreciate the large font.
Yes.
Just saying, it's very.
Yeah, I need that at this point.
Yeah. All right, Lynn, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve stage 1 curriculum for our K-5 mathematics. Should I separate it into 2 votes, do you think, Deb, or?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do it for K5. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kevin. All in favor? Aye, passes unanimously. Lynn, would you like to make another one for 7th and 8th?
Yeah. For approval of stage 1 mathematics for grades 7 and 8.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Nicole. All in favor? Aye, passes unanimously with 8 again. Thank you, everyone. All right, our last item of new business is our appointment of the CATV Advisory Council member. You will see in the packet at the end a bit of a background explanation of this. This is actually a unique situation. Usually what happens is the town council approves and votes on all appointments for various positions in town. This one is dedicated to the Board of Ed in particular, and it's connected to Nutmeg TV, so it's a person who is willing and wanting to attend these meetings, and I can honestly say I'm not exactly sure what is discussed there, but we do have someone named Michael Sachs who is willing to do this on our behalf. I'll check in with him and see if he has any updates for us that he could possibly inform us and educate us on what this role is. This is only the second time we've ever voted on someone in this position because we've taken interest in doing so. It's gone empty for years, so might as well do it when we have the opportunity. So I will make the motion to approve Michael Sachs as our designated appointee to the CATV position. Do I have a second? Thank you, Chris. All in favor? Aye, passes unanimously with 8. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Through the chair.
Yep.
The last time we had, and the first and the last time we had to do this, I did some research on it just as a reminder and maybe for the newer people. It, generally speaking, is supposed to be to review the kind of programming provided on public access, if it's meeting the needs of the community, if there are different programming needs, so forth. So that generally speaking is what the committee is there to do.
All right. And I will do my best to follow up with him and see what we can glean from it. So thank you. Any more communication from the public? All right. Any communication from Avon Board of Education members? Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that, I 100% agree that student safety should be top priority. I'm sorry to hear that if, families have experienced certain things around that topic, but I also don't want that to be a shadow over the positive outcomes of open choice. I feel very strongly that open choice is a beneficial part to not only students who live in Avon, but the students who are coming to Avon. It's constitutional, it's educational, it's not just fiscal, and I want to make sure that we don't simply focus on cost, but by multiple measures, and I'm just grateful for our discussion tonight.
Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else? Go ahead, Kevin.
First, I wanted to just congratulate all those that were at the internship. I thought those people were super impressive, really, really did a fantastic job, and to see what they're actually doing was so impressive. Not only what they're doing now, but what that inspires them to do in the future. So congrats on everyone through the internship program. I think it was really, really special. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Paige, you good? All right, then Chris, would you like to make a motion to adjourn? All right, do I have a second? Second by Sarah, all in favor? We unanimously adjourn at 8:33 p.m.